Hello, everybody. It's very nice to be here again. It is a great privilege for me to be closing this conference. I hope that as a last speaker, I can inspire you to take action to bring your business to the next level. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dmitrii, and I am a nerd. I love data, I love numbers. Why? It's all summed up in this quote of mine. Working with numbers is like having a conversation with a friend. Listen carefully, and once you understand them, you can achieve great things together. And I love to use data to find marketing gems. After applying my nerdiness in digital marketing for over a decade now, I was able to dig up quite a few marketing gems, which I'm going to be sharing with you today. To my surprise, a lot of companies that I work with in home services industry, they leave those gems neglected. Last year, I spoke about generating new leads, new customers from digital marketing, from online marketing, and mainly SEO and PPC. And I hope that for those of you who have been there last year, I gave you some tasty food for thought. And here's a one-line summary for those who haven't been at last year Ignite. It is SEO is the logs, and PPC is like gas on fire. Let me give you a really quick explanation. Just like when you're starting a fire, it takes a bit of time for the logs to start burning and producing results. And a splash of lighter fluid will start it up, but it doesn't have a long-lasting effect. Also, you can't really heat up the whole house by just burning the lighter fluid. I guess technically you could, but it's not just going to cost you arm and a leg. It's going to cost you both arms, both legs, an ear, and a kidney. In the world of digital marketing, the paid search, aka PPC, it's like splashing gas on fire. And SEO is just logs. It takes a while to get there, but after it's going, it will keep producing results for a long period of time. Here is the link to that last talk from the last year. If anybody wants to learn more about the SEO, PPC, all the golden nuggets, what to do, what not to do, regexseo.com/praxis2022, or you can use the QR code. Everybody who wanted wrote it down? All right, let's start for the new stuff, the good stuff. As you know, there are two ways to generate revenue. One is getting new customers, and the other one is capitalizing on existing customers. However, regardless of how you generate revenue, there is always a way to extract more out of marketing campaigns, extract more out of whatever efforts you are investing into, whatever resources you are spending on. To my surprise, there is so much underutilization happening in the world of home services industry, it's not even funny. So I will share these gems with you that I discovered by working with companies just like yours, AC folks, plumbers, electricians, and we even work with pest control people and pool people and so on and so on. So I'm sure that you folks noticed that in the last couple of months, especially in the last winter, there was a bit of a slowdown. And as a data-driven marketing agency, we have been working with Healer for 3.5 years now. We were achieving amazing SEO results, dominating local markets, and then winter came. I'm sure all of you noticed it. The winter has been quite crazy. I live between two states, in Texas by Houston, and now I live also in northern New Hampshire. Winter of 2023 has been on average 10 degrees warmer than in 2022. So that was part of the slowdown. Additionally, the economy has not been that great, which also makes homeowners to save a little bit and not spend as much. And on top of that, the time between middle of January to middle of April is the slowest time of the year for home services industry anyway. All of that caused a nationwide slowdown in the demand itself. Here's a couple of graphs for you. This is a Google Trends graph over the last 5 years for how many people search for heating repair. This last little bit, that's the last 3 months. As you can see, it's going down. Here's the same for AC repair. Obviously, we are in the winter before season, but as you can see, this last part on the right is much lower than ever before. This is for plumbers. This is for electricians. And as we were working with Nick and Hiller, they also noticed that. So Nick is going to tell a little bit about how that was for you and what you folks did.
Yeah, I think I've talked to several of you through this period, and there's no doubt that I think we've all seen a little bit of slowdown, unless you happen to be in one of those more mountainous regions that has lower temps and more snowfall. For us, the key to surviving and getting through this thing has been really working our existing customer base and outbounding those people, emailing those people, communicating with those people, instead of just sitting back and waiting on the phone to ring, right? It's to continually work that. We've also taken this as a little bit of an opportunity. You know, we've seen some of our competitors drop their spends, and so it gives us the opportunity to capture more market share that way as well. So yeah, he'd asked me to share a couple things we've done, and that's how we've survived the winter.
All right, so let's say you're ranking #1 on Google organically, and your paid ads budgets are unlimited, and everything is super awesome optimized. Well, if the online demand is down by itself, then fewer people search for your services, and therefore you can't do anything about it. Or can you? This is where the data comes in. Are you ready to get nerdy with it? This is one of my favorite sayings of mine, that data is not meant to be a byproduct of decision making. It must inspire decisions themselves. Let that sink in. I want everybody who is today, I want this to be ingrained in your brain. Data is not meant to be a byproduct of decision making. It must inspire decisions themselves. Data will help you find marketing opportunities, marketing gems, where you are wasting your money, where you should be doubling down, and where the potential is that you're not utilizing yet. Data will tell you what you should take behind the barn and shoot versus where you should invest more. Now, this is when you actually want to start to take lots of notes. I have prepared a list of 162 marketing gems, but the nice PRAXIS folks, for some reason, I don't know why, but they told me it's not okay to keep you here till midnight. So instead, we're going to be talking about just 15 beautiful gems of the highest quality. Baby gem #1, you got to start small. So how to find data that would discover the marketing gems for you. Google Analytics, free tool, easy to install. If you don't have it on your website, do it today. And one of the most important things is that you, as the business owner, should own access to it. Not your marketing agency, not your employee, you, the business owner. And then you give out access to whoever you need to. Otherwise, they leave, they quit, and then you're screwed. You're not going to have access to your own data, and most likely we will never be able to recover it.
And guys, this applies for any of your online digital accounts, your Facebook account, your Google Ads account, your Microsoft Bing account, your TikTok account. You need to own them. And then you can grant access as you see fit to the companies you want to work with in the future. I can tell you right now, I have complete certainty if a company is refusing to work off of your ads account, there's a high likelihood that they are finding some way to take advantage of the numbers or potentially even your money. So this is huge for us. We don't let anybody own our accounts. We give access to our accounts, and we revoke access to our accounts when we decide to move to different vendors.
Yep. So if you have it set up properly, Google Analytics, it will tell you the following. It will tell you conversion rate per each marketing channel, campaign, and activity. So out of 100 people who get to your website, how many of them really call you or fill out a form or start a live chat or whatever it is, the conversions, right? Also, I know that a lot of you use Service Titan, and you can set up tracking phone numbers there. But what I see often is that a lot of companies that come to us and start working with us, they have the phone number set up there, but all of those phone numbers are just attached to a campaign called website. And that's not good enough. People can get to your website from organic search, paid ads, Google My Business, TV, radio, whatever else. And for you as a business owner or a marketing manager or a director, that does not give you any information if you get all of the calls from the website. It does not tell you, you can't understand where you made money, where you lost money. So from that perspective, make sure that all of the data tracking CRMs like Service Titan and Service Fusion and InfiniServe and WorkIS and all of those, they are properly set up. And if they are, you should be able to understand this: cost per call, cost per qualified lead, and cost per job. Per each marketing activity, that's the emphasis there. You should be able to understand that per each marketing activity or campaign. Here's the typical customer journey that you might know of. People go to your website, then they call you or fill out a form, then they become a qualified lead, and then some of them will become a sold job. However, let me ask you this. Do you know how many, or what is the average call to qualified lead rate for your company is? Or call to job rate for your company is? Or even more so, do you know a call to job for, let's say, AC repair PPC campaign? Or a call to job rate for TV ad you had recently? So if, in order to have great success as a business owner, as a marketing manager, as a marketing director, you must be able to find out the rate between each of these steps for every marketing channel and every marketing activity. In order to be able to do it, here's what I recommend. Make sure that for every marketing activity, you have a separate phone number tracking. If you have printed magnets, digit magnets that go to the customer fridges, have a separate phone number. If you are running PPC ads, each campaign should have its own phone number. If you did a TV ad, its own phone number. If you did a billboard, its own phone number. That's the only way you will be able to understand how many actual calls you got from the thing that you just spent money on, how many of them became qualified leads, how many of them became actual jobs. Otherwise, you will never be able to understand if this magazine ad you just spent $5,000 on, if it's bringing you money or if it's costing you money. Example, we just worked through this exact exercise with one of our larger clients, and the data we got from that was crazy and astonishing. How many of you do Yelp ads? Some of you, okay, good. Don't do it.
Did you say don't do it?
Yeah, don't
Thank
do it.
you.
Don't
Okay.
do it. Yeah.
I saw this coming up, and I was like, where's he going with this?
Yeah. Yeah, so do you know, the people who run the ads, do you know how many calls and, more importantly, jobs and revenue you got from your Yelp ads last month? Well, by doing this exercise in March of this year, so this year, for that client that I mentioned, we found out that the cost per inbound qualified lead was $2,100. I can't sleep if I do that. How many of you do Home Advisor? Better question is, how many, do you know the rates? Again, cost per call, cost per lead, cost per job. So the same thing we did with that client, and we found out that the cost per call was about $60. You know, that's not bad for cost per lead. But then we moved down the funnel, and we found out that cost per job sold was $4,900. That's not okay. That makes me sad. So I hope that you can understand how useful this process and data can be for you. Gem number 3, review the data, this data, at least every month with your marketing team, at least once a month. You should look at cost per call, cost per qualified lead, cost per job, and most importantly, ROI per each marketing activity. It surprises me how many business owners come to me and they have no idea where the money goes. It's like, yeah, we spend $100,000 a year, but we don't know what's happening with it, where it's going, how it's going. So please, for the love of potatoes, do not be that business owner. Gem number 4, also don't forget about customer lifetime value. Typically, the first job, the first dispatch does not bring that much money, maybe a couple $100, maybe a few $100. But what about every consequent job that you will get from that same client? Does it matter that it has been a month or 2? It doesn't. What matters is what brought you that client in the first place. So whenever you look at marketing ROI, make sure that you look at customer lifetime value brought by each marketing activity and each marketing campaign. Here's an example. A company, $5 million a year company in home services industry, they came to us with a problem. They couldn't figure out which marketing campaigns to kill or to double down on. According to the data they had, the jobs generated by the marketing activities, they were barely breaking even. Mostly they actually were losing money. So we started digging, and what we found was astonishing. While the first job was only $113, the first dispatch, we found out that the customers that were brought by those marketing activities stayed with that client for 7 years. So the customer lifetime value from those marketing activities has been 25 times the first job revenue. However, every consequent job that has not been attributed to the initial marketing campaign. So the client could not figure that out. I know that a big portion of you and big portion of your revenue comes from existing customers. And existing customer, as a name of the campaign in Service Titan, for example, does not really tell you where the customer originated from. So that company, the $5 million a year company, $3.8 million of their revenue was from existing customer in this giant pile of unattributed campaign that nobody had clue how and where they got that money from. So make sure that the existing customer is broken up. They were not able to make decision about marketing results because as soon as the first job and the dispatch went out, everything else was just marked with existing customer. Gem number 5, PPC brand campaigns. There's a few things here. First of all, what is PPC brand campaign is when somebody goes to Google and types in your company name. Let's say a potential customer saw a billboard, maybe TV ad, and they typed in your name, and that's fine. However, there is another scenario. A client that you've been working for 20 years, they also go to Google and type in your company name. Well, if they click on that ad, it's going to cost you money. And if you have been working with them for 20 years, why are they wasting your money? We have noticed that as much as 30% of PPC budget in some cases is being spent on brand campaigns. And if most of those searches are done by existing customers, then you might be wasting a lot of money. You might ask, well, if they already know me, why should I even do brand PPC campaigns in the first place? Because if they know me, they know me. Well, the problem is this. Your competitors might be bidding on your name as well. And they might have a message. We are cheaper than Joe's Plumbing. We are better than Nick's HVAC, and so on. And some of your customers might click on those ads and be stolen. So don't leave it up to chance. Still run it. The cost per click is super cheap, usually a couple of bucks. But here's a tip for you. Run brand ads only when competition is bidding for your name. So after you finish up this conference and go home, get to your office, get to your house, type in your company name, your own company name, and see if anybody is bidding for your name. If you don't see any ads, you technically don't have to run the ads yourself. And that could save you the budget, which you can put towards better campaigns. We have seen as high as 20% of cost reduction in PPC without any effect to a revenue. And that's big. 20% cost savings, no effect to revenue. Because
hey, Dmitrii, let me speak on this
Yeah.
for a minute. For us, we're very heavily in the brand. We run brand campaigns. Obviously, our name is
Yeah.
bought by all our competitors. With that said, again, we know our market, we know our competitors, we know they're buying us. Our PPC budget going to brand campaign is 2%, just 2%. So if you've got the company optimizing the name right, optimizing the ad right, and the landing page is optimized right, your cost per clicks, he said a couple bucks, are under $1. Our cost per clicks are under $1 for our own brand name, because there's nobody more relevant in that space than your own company. So you should have no problem outbidding your competitors and making sure they're not leaving your company. Now, on the flip side of brand name, we have a pretty big budget in what we call a conquesting campaign. So we buy our competitors' names and we put our ad up, and we see some of our lowest cost per leads come out of our conquesting campaigns. And so that should just reinforce to you why it's important that if your competitors are buying your name, you're defending your name with money. Because if you're not, you'll lose leads even though they were initially seeking you out. So make sure that if your competitors are buying your name, you're buying with them. But get on your agency's butt if these aren't cheap. What agencies love to do in this situation is roll this number into your average cost per lead and your average cost per click and show you these super low numbers and look at what we're doing, but they didn't generate that lead. Your name generated that lead. When we look at our PPC results, we separate brand and non-brand. And so we know what our cost per lead is in our non-brand campaigns, and we know what our cost per lead is in our brand campaigns. And we don't mix those two together because it's not a fair fight. So that's my 2 cents.
Yep, absolutely. Amen to that. So here's where the next gem pops up. Give existing customers a good reason to call you directly and not to Google your brand name. That's not an easy task, but if you can crack that code, you will be able to save quite a bit of money. The best solution that we came up with was for one of our clients, and this is what we did. Step 1, we assigned 3 CSRs to only serve existing customers. Whenever an existing customer calls, they see their phone number, they see their name, they know who they are, so when they pick up, they already kind of know them, they're almost like friends. Like, hey, Mr. Smith, how is Laura, how's kids, how is Fluffy the cat? The more the information they have, the better. Step 2, we gave good reason to existing customers to call the direct line. There's no press 1 for this, press 2 for that. It's a direct call through. They always go to the same 3 people. It's the same idea as if you have a question about your AC equipment or question about Service Titan, you don't dial their main 800 number, you call your customer rep. Same applies here. And yeah, the reason you talk to your customer rep is because you know them, they know your situation, they know your story. And then step 3 is we made it easy for existing customers to have that direct line in the first place. So when a service technician comes out to the first job ever, right before they leave, they tell the homeowner something like this. Oh, by the way, if you have a question, if you need a follow-up, if you have a problem, don't call our main office line. Instead, here's a direct line to Natalie, and she will be able to help you with everything. She will be your direct contact. She knows about your project. I will tell her as a tech, I will tell her everything about what I did today, so she's 100% caught up. And then the tech would give them either NFC card. This is something that very few people we work with use. Either NFC card, it looks like a business card. We just did this design for one of our clients. Or a QR code card that would directly save the info to customers' phones. The way it works is like contactless payment at the grocery store. You take your phone and boop it, and it just takes the information directly. Here's how it looks. So the little button in the hand, that's the tag. So you get the phone, and then right there, it's all of the information. The customer gets direct line, name of the CSR, name of the tech, website, whatever else. There's a lot of different information you can do. Also, the tech, right before they leave, they give the customer a fridge magnet, which could be NFC, that little booping thing, or it could be just a QR code with the same direct line. Also, we designed these stickers that go on every unit or any equipment, which again, if you use it, it will give you that direct line. And recently, we have been experimenting and testing adding the NFC tags to the thermostat backplate directly. It looks like this. It looks like a little button. And the idea had been working out pretty great. And here's why. If you have a problem, if a homeowner has a problem with the AC or heating unit, where do they go first? They go to the thermostat and start messing with it. And if they see that something is broken, most of us have a phone in hand already, so it's very quickly and easy to just tag the NFC tag, and then all of the information, direct line, is there. So this way, they just boop it, and the direct line and all of the information comes up. After we did that, we have seen a decline of 75% of existing customers using brand PPC campaigns. And that resulted up to 30% savings in total PPC spend.
Yeah, something on this particular situation is we've at Hiller explored the option of these. They're called dot cards. Is that dot? I'm assuming.
Pretty much, it's the same thing.
Dot. I think it's dot cards or whatever. We have project managers running these in the field right now, so that when they boop it, when they boop it on the phone, it automatically loads contact information. All you got to do is hit save.
Yep.
The beauty of this, kind of going back to even his tracking, is you control what phone number it saves, you control the URL it saves, yep. So you can put custom parameters in the URL so that you can know how many times that card got used to go to your website.
Yep.
And you can control that, right?
Yep.
So this is something that we'll be investing in. I know at some point we haven't gotten to the point where we scaled up on it to get to all 600 of our technicians, but it's absolutely something that's beneficial, I think, especially if you have a smaller service crowd.
Yeah, and
do you want to take a question real quick? I see his hand raised.
Yes, sir.
How much do those cards cost?
Good question. I was about to just say they're actually not expensive.
The question was, how much do those cards cost?
Yeah, so we've seen it anywhere between $8 to $25, and the beauty of it is that it's infinitely reusable. It's like a credit card. You give one to each tech, instead of buying or printing 1,000 business cards for each tech. It's actually cheaper to have this stuff than normal business cards.
And so they just a little bit more clarity on that. They do have a monthly fee, which will give you their own back half analytics. You don't have to use that if you set it up to the right tracking number to the right URL, though. So like he said, I think we've gotten the price down to about $10 a dot or whatever. You can actually even like put them on the back of their tablet or their phone, yeah. And so they'll always have it, and then all they gotta do is connect the two phones together.
Yep. All right. Gem number 7, social media management, also known as posting. I say do it internally, and the main reason is from all of our experience, the most we have seen in terms of lead gen is about 0.5% of the revenue coming from the social media posting, not ads, posting. And here's not a kicker there. Who is the best person to go with the tech or be around your office and take pictures and videos with customers and so on and so on and so on? Unless the social media agency is across the road from you, you'll have to either fly them out or you would have to take pictures and videos anyway and then send it to them for them to post. To me, that does not make much sense, especially considering that the revenue from that is not that much. It's more about branding. And if you're doing it anyway, if you're taking pictures and videos, well then just get like a nephew or a niece or somebody, some kind of intern for minimal wage to do it for you, the actual posting part. Instead of doing that, we recommend this. Build relationships with companies in your area that serve the same audience as you, who already have great social media presence. For example, what has been working wonders for us and for our clients is partnering up with a non-competing home services industry. One of the biggest tandems we are testing right now in North Carolina, and it has been working wonders, is a pest control company working with a plumbing company for cross referrals and partnerships. They don't the people are the same, they all go to the same houses, so, but there is no stealing of the clients from that perspective. So the results have been awesome. Here's a couple other ideas. You can partner up with a local roofing company, or lawn mowing company, or pool services company, pool cleaning company, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah, so let me add a little bit of flavor to this. So my personal belief on this is I love Dmitrii. We use him personally. We spend a lot of money with Dmitrii each year. He does wonders for us. But he is a data-driven guy, right? So everything he talks about is based on numbers and figures.
Yep.
Think of social media as a brand builder. If you're looking at the revenue number like he just showed, you're never going to probably show any sort of revenue figure that's significant from a social media post. But if you were to look at it from a different angle, like brand recognition or market share, if you continually post on, and I agree with him, by the way, it's much better social media content if it comes from internal than an external company. But if you were to look at your market share and your brand recognition over the course of time from an effective social media management campaign, you're going to see a bump there, which is ultimately going to drive revenue. So.
Right. And my point was do it internally, not don't do it at all, just do
Right.
it internally. Don't pay $3,000 to a third-party agency, basically. All right, gem number 8, build non-traditional referral partnerships. This is something pretty cool. We have been exploring that this last about a year or so. So recently, myself, my family moved across half the country from Texas to northern New Hampshire. We didn't really know anybody there when we moved there, and I needed home services. So who do you think I called when I needed home services? Realtor. I called my realtor because that was the only person I knew who is local, I trust them, and I have tons of contacts. So when I called them, I asked them for references, and she was able to give me a lot of information. So what we did, one of our clients that we just do consulting for, they're very small, like 5-people company. They pretty much don't have any marketing budget whatsoever for traditional or online or anything. So what we did with them was we came up with this idea. No salespeople, no traditional marketing or advertising or even online advertising, just a small website and 100% referral-based marketing through the partnership with the local largest realtor group. They had like 200 realtors. So whenever people buy a new house, whenever they move to the new area, who do they call? Typically for advice is going to be their realtor. So we set up unique referral cards that kind of look like business cards, which has unique phone number, unique QR code for each realtor. And now practically the 200 people from that realty are a giant sales force for this small company. And it has been working wonderfully with virtually zero marketing spend. Gem number 9, monthly Google My Business SEO. Long story short, there's no such thing. Google My Business SEO, you optimize it once, and after that, the only thing you can do is make sure that it's right and maybe post the Google My Business posts. But as we talked about before, if you are already doing social media posting internally, that same person can also post on your Google My Business. So we see a lot of companies that come to us and say, yeah, we pay $500 per month for monthly Google My Business SEO. What that typically means is that they set it up once, optimized it, and kind of never touch it again. And what you are actually paying for is for your current customers, existing customers, most likely typing in the name, and that's when the Google My Business pops up. It's the little thing called knowledge graph on the side. I see a hand there. Yes, sir. Okay, so the question was, does Maps recognize Google My Business? they are related. What is showing on maps is Google My Business profile, but it's not, it doesn't help in terms of the SEO of it, doesn't help with your rankings on the maps. What helps on the maps is frequency and quality of reviews. Because how does Google understand if your company is still in business and doing good work?
Dmitrii, you forgot about the number one thing. It's proximity, buddy.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, obviously, if you're talking about maps, it's all about proximity.
Proximity is the number one ranking signal in maps.
Yeah, and then after that, it's the reviews.
That's
so just get all of the reviews, get all of your customers to leave you nice reviews, and that's what will kick you on the maps.
And I'll add one more thing to this. We, for sure, as Hiller, the organization, saw about a 25 to 30% bump in searches for non-branded keywords through our Google My Business page when we started weekly postings onto Google My Business. As he mentioned, the whole optimizing your profile, we pay a company that does that initially upon setup one time, and they help us get in the directories and all that. And then as long as that's set, we check in on it probably quarterly. It's not even monthly. But then we do make a weekly post on the Google My Business, which has shown the benefits by doing that. And literally all we do, folks, is we take a social media post, put the image, put the copy, same one from Facebook, put it up, and that's enough for Google to say, company's still active, and they care about the audience, so we're gonna show them more. That's all we do. Doesn't have to be thought through or optimized. So yeah, so he's absolutely right. Don't pay somebody to monthly fee to optimize your local SEO unless their optimization is posting for you on a regular cadence.
Exactly. Baby gem number 10, look how cute it is. Which comes from the previous point. In general, across all marketing campaigns and activities that you're paying for, make sure that you check the breakdown of if those marketing activities, marketing campaigns, are bringing you new customers, or they are just another way for existing customers to find you. And if it's the latter, then refer to that earlier point about NFC tags, and there's just way better, cheaper, more efficient ways to get your existing customers to contact you. Gem 11. Now, this is the big stuff. This is the big stuff, and we still have time, so we're good. Adopt user profiling. User profiling is basically personalization on steroids. Everything that I'm going to be talking about from now on starts with great user profiling. By the way, user profiling, again, it's not the same as personalization. It's not a list of attributes like gender and age of a customer, their square footage, age of their unit system, or zip code. It's not that, which, by the way, you still should have, and we see a lot of companies that don't even have that information. So what is user profiling? User profiling is understanding the needs of a customer before the needs arise. The understanding of why for each customer, the why, what they're looking for, and why they're looking for it. Here's an example. Let's say you're a salesperson, you go to a neighborhood, and there are 3 houses or next door, all owned by a male guy, by a guy, let's say mid-30s, in the same neighborhood, middle class. So you talk to the first guy and you ask, hey, why are you looking for a new AC company? And he says, well, my current AC guy, they just raised their prices, so I'm looking for something cheaper. All right. Then you go to next door, and that guy says, well, I kind of like my AC guy now, but with the cost of energy going up, I'm looking to switch to something much more efficient. And I'm also environmentally conscious, so I'm looking for having positive impact on the environment. I want it to be as green as possible also. The second guy pretty much is looking for the same thing as the first guy, the reduction in cost on a monthly basis, but the approach is very different. And then you go to a third house, and this third guy says, well, I hate everything about AC maintenance. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to ever worry about it. I travel a lot. I'm super busy. I never want to touch or see an AC filter. I don't want to never use the hose to rinse out the AC unit. When I come home from the travels, I want my AC system working perfectly. I want things fixed before they even broken. He never wants to call you with any problems. Fully hands-off. So these three guys, neighbors, if you look at it from the standard traditional personalization, you would be sending them the same promos because they're all male, 35 in this zip code. You will be sending them the same promos, the same sales approach. You will be sending them the same offers and trying to sell them the same services. However, I hope that I showed that the needs are very different. That's what user profiling is. It's understanding what they need and why they need it before they actually need it. So build all of your marketing campaigns based on that, on as accurate and as wide of the user profile as you can possibly create. Gem number 12, embrace all forms of customer communications. We just talked with Nick about that about a month ago, and we kind of were complaining to each other how many home services companies, they always force customers to call them, just most likely because the home service company itself is used to dealing with calls. Well, it's 2023. What about text marketing? What about social media messengers? What about live chats and instant bookings? Be present everywhere. My wife has a bit of an anxiety when she's talking on the phone to people. So she would rather go with inferior company and pay more money for worse product if that company has a way for her not to talk on the phone to a person. If they let her to do a text or email or some kind of live chat, she will choose that. My buddy basically lives on Instagram and TikTok, and he tells me that he never has to leave those platforms. That's how he does all of his communications and all of the business. How many of you have a manned Instagram or TikTok profile in general? And then, of course, there is my grandma. Oh my goodness. She thinks, so she as a human, well, I hope she's a human. That would explain a lot. But she thinks that as a human, she can catch a computer virus. So she always tells me, I don't want to be anywhere close to that demon machine, pointing at a laptop or a computer. So of course, she would be using calls to reach out to people. So here's an example of before and after. My point is, don't force people into what you are used to just because you're used to it. So on the left, that's the typical form. We just did the UX redesign for one of our clients. On the left, that was the form that we were pushing and pushing and pushing. And then on the right, that's how it should be done. So they can call or text the phone number. They can reach out through social media messenger. They can have a live chat. And if they click on the schedule now, then that's the instant booking through schedule engine.
Yeah,
so,
let me, and I touched on this in my earlier presentation, right? Y'all heard me talk about this, communicate with the consumer the way the consumer wants to communicate with you, right? And to drive this point further home, we're fortunate as home service companies right now that if you look at our target audience and if you look at our current customers, a lot of them are, 40 and up homeowners established in their life who the phone is just fine for them, right? That's okay. If you look at that subset of new homeowners coming in, the millennials are the biggest home buying group right now, and you look at those guys and girls, that 25 to 35-year-old range doesn't like talking on the phone. Mm-hmm. They don't. So if you're pushing phone calls, okay, you're going to miss out on a big portion of business that could care less about talking on the phone. I am, and I'm 40, so I'm the top of the millennial. But I don't particularly care for talking on the phone. I go for where I can book online or I go for where I can text. That's case study 1 right here, right? But that's the current group coming up. That's the current group of homeowners coming up. So we were talking about question everything earlier. We were talking about innovating your company, right? And if you're have not already started taking these steps, you're going to fall behind fairly quickly. Don't be that laggard that we saw yesterday. This has got to be something that you've got to put some focus in, because the companies that do this well, think about Uber, for example. I love using them as an example. They took over the taxi cab company because of how unsafe and uneasy it was to deal with taxi cabs. So don't let your company fall behind because you're not willing to implement these steps.
Really quick, gem number 13, invest in email marketing. This is, oh boy, this is such a huge thing. There's so much opportunity. Typically, if email marketing campaign is done right, then you should be able to see 10% or between 10% or even more of the visitors going to your website from email marketing efforts. What we typically see when people come to us to work with us, it's that if they have email marketing at all, they only have about 1% of the website visits going from email marketing. Email marketing conversion rate is one of the highest conversions rates. We have seen it up to 18%. That is outrageous. That's only behind SEO and existing customers. Here are the main newsletters. Here's the main types of email marketing designs and types of email marketing, types of emails that you as a home service company should be doing. The first one is simply newsletter, some kind of tips, some kind of updates sent to the client. Second one would be a sales follow-up. After a sales person comes out to a client, after that send them a nice email saying, hey, nice seeing you. Then promotional emails, your monthly promos, offers, discounts, whatever it is. Then we have approved financing and financing balance available email. So this one is very interesting and not a lot of people do it. So after a person, a homeowner, gets financing approved, and you would know about it because they would talk to you and they would say, well, I'm looking for my financing approved. After that, even if they buy from you, you should be able to at least guess or sometimes even fully see how much balance they have left. And therefore, not balance, credit they have left. And therefore, there is room for upsells. Then we have inactive customer winbacks, people who have not been working with you for some time, and now they are back, or you can win them back by sending them an email, hey, come back and we'll give you maybe a discount. And then extended warranty sales, standard, I think it doesn't need any explanations. And then membership retentions and renewals. So whenever a membership is about to expire, then you would send them an email saying reminder. Now, this is the data that has the second column. So the first column is email type. Second column is average open rate. Out of 100 people, how many people open each of the types of emails. Third column is average conversion rate. Out of people who open the email, how many of them go ahead and become a lead. Last column is per 1,000 contacts. So per 1,000 emails, if you do the math, you would get all of those leads potentially. That's 70 total leads. Considering that typically, let's say your lead to sale rate, let's say 50%, that means that you are missing out potentially on 35 sales. And if your average ticket, average job revenue is $2,500, well then you could be missing out on almost $88,000. And this could be done monthly. If you have been in the business for a while, then you probably should have more than 1,000 contacts. And if you're a new company, a fresh company, then make sure that you collect those emails and do email marketing. Considering that email marketing implementation is actually not that expensive, the average ROI on each dollar spent on email marketing brings back up to $36. Now that is some tasty data. Now, we did the same exercise with Nick, and we found out that the annual potential is about $10 million.
Yeah, so we started evaluating what our current email marketing campaigns look like. We did a little bit, we put our feet in the water a little bit, but we weren't fully committed to it. And when we started running the numbers and looking at our database compared to what traditional results would look like, we believe that there's a gap of almost $10 million additional that we could pull out of our markets by fully optimizing our email marketing strategy. So it was so much so that we've actually brought on an additional person into our building to fully execute on that for us. We found that they weren't getting done in the regular cadence properly, but just because of resources. So when you have potentially $10 million on the line and you're paying somebody, just a decent salary, the ROI is extraordinary.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. That was one of the biggest gems in this presentation. Really quickly, invest in text marketing. Text marketing is basically email marketing in a shorter form. Also, you can use it for notifications like, hey, tech is on the way. Here's a picture of Jimmy because, well, here's how he looks, so that when he gets to the customer, they know how the guy should look. 78% of customers report that the text messages are the fastest way to reach them. Makes total sense to me. Even if I'm busy, my phone dings, I'll look at it. If it's important, I'm gonna at least look at it and answer it. Then everybody opens text messages, 99%. Like, no matter what it is, at least you're gonna open it and read it. And then the click-through rate on average is twice of the email marketing, about 5 to 10%. So you take those numbers, per 1,000 contacts that you have, you should be looking at basically up to $125,000 in revenue if your job average is about $2,500.
Yeah, just folks, remember earlier my earlier conversations with y'all, text message marketing is fantastic. It's our highest conversion percentage we have in the building. However, make sure that you're getting explicit opt-in from your customer base, because it's also one of the most penalized forms of marketing if you don't have that explicit opt-in from your customer base. So make sure you're not messing around here and just willy-nilly sending out to anybody that you get a phone number for, because it's up to $10,000 per text message if they find out you've been sending them illegally. The general rule of thumb is if a customer has provided you with their information and they're going to do some sort of business with you, you have up to a year to recommunicate back out with them via text message. Now, make sure to check your local laws and regulations to make sure that matches where you're at. But just be aware, you can't just go and take your whole list and just start text messaging them without having their explicit opt-in, unless you want to roll the dice and see if you'll get turned in or not.
Right. And lastly, Gem 15, OTT advertising. So there's a bit of a caveat here. A typical OTT advertising is basically running video ads on places like ESPN Live and whatever else. OTT is streaming services, streaming apps. And that stuff, like ESPN Live and sports and whatever else, is super expensive. Now, if you have been already investing into TV ads and you have them produced, then you can take that exact ad and then run it on certain platforms, like, for example, Hulu. Hulu has its own ads manager. You don't have to go through a third-party company. And here's the cost per 1,000 views compared. TV, typically 25 to 45 bucks. Hulu, 10 to 25. And then just for the giggles, I threw in the YouTube, which is about 5 to 20, and then Facebook, 8 to 10. So this is per 1,000 views. If you already paid for TV ads and they're produced, just don't let them sit there. Reuse it. Be creative. Don't let it sit unused.
To Dmitrii's point on this, we're seeing obviously a decline in the TV audience as it is. Obviously, these TV companies, TV stations don't want to have a decline in their revenue along with the audience decline, so they're finding creative ways to package in online impressions and things like that. We dropped our TV budget from approximately and I'm going off memory here, approximately 19% of our total overall marketing budget down to about 15% this year. And we took that savings that we dropped and reapplied it and tripled our YouTube budget and tripled our OTT budget. We're using that as the new form of branding out to the audience that we had traditionally seen come from television to just, again, further enhance our brand.
Yep. And a kicker is that like Hulu ads or YouTube ads, you can build user profiling and use that data to actually properly target, instead of TV companies kind of more or less guessing.
Yeah, so if you think about your TV buys, traditionally what you're buying, 25 to 54, that's kind of the common, you know, one of the common age groups. Placing on one of these OTTs, you can now say, well, I want 35 to 40-year-olds who own their own homes and who have an interest in, let's say, cartoons. And then
Right.
I showed you that earlier campaign where we had a comic book offer. You run the comic book offer to that group versus the let's say the 55 to 65-year-old homeowner who's affluent and likes the news, and you run a more traditional style ad to that person.
Right.
It's a lot. That just shows you the capability of what you can do there. But that is in comparison to the previous option, which was 25 to 54-year-old adults, 25 to 54-year-old male, 25 to 54-year-old female, or adults 18 and up. That level of targeting. It's just so much more complex, and you can get your dollar goes so much further now.
Yeah, you can also do, for example, if a person likes or watches certain series on Hulu, for example, and then you can even get creative and film an ad in maybe a style of well, I don't know what's popular on Hulu right now, but you know, if you know they like that show, you can film it in that looking like that show in that style to get the most out of your budget.
I know Sons of Anarchy's on there, so a motorcycle ad, is that what you're saying?
Sure, right. It doesn't matter, right? Just match with your audience. All right, so we went through a lot of things today. We saw a lot of gem mines. Some of them might be scary, some of them might be unknown. So to conclude this presentation, I would like to leave you with one of favorite quotes from Albert Einstein of mine. I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious. So be curious about everything in your business, about things you like, about things you don't like, about things that scare you or bore you. And if any point, looking at the data, looking at the numbers, make you scared or it makes your head spin, well then, find a friend who is a nerd.
And Dmitrii, before you sign off here, I just want to give you a little shout out from the Hiller side. You know, we've been using these guys for 3.5 years for our SEO and our website stuff. Just on a personal level, my background is heavy digital marketing. My background is I'm kind of a nerd as well when it comes to all this. And so I've worked with a lot of agencies in the past, and Dmitrii, from the digital standpoint, was the first guy that I come across that I felt like was equally, well, he was greater than I am in that skill set, rightfully so, but I could talk really, really technical with him, and he would take that information and apply it to our strategy. And then I've also seen the opposite of people who do not have a lot of technical capabilities, and he's able to put it in a format for them to better understand as well. So it's just my own little personal plug for Dmitrii. We're longtime customers, and we'll continue to be for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, thanks so much. So, to conclude, my name is Dmitrii Kustov. I am Chief Nerd at Regex SEO. It has been a pleasure nerding out with you. Thank you so much.